So hello and welcome back to another week exploring Azeroth with Beryl. I think Onyx is probably going to sit this one out this week. There really isn't too terribly much that, even though this is a contested zone, I poked around and didn't find anything too utterly fascinating in the horde buildings that we can't see with Beryl. So it is going to be Beryl this week as we explore the Southern Barrens. All right, we are starting right here at the Great Lift that attaches the Southern Barrens to Thousand Needles, or at least it used to. And one interesting thing about the Great Lift is back in classic time, there was actually a corpse of a dwarf at the bottom of the Great Lift, so I always thought that was kind of funny. Now, one interesting thing, if you are looking for an area just to kind of hang out that is utterly free of enemies but still has interesting stuff in it, right here in the Southern Barrens, Thousand Needles area, you have this abandoned Tauren, and Quillbore took it over after the Tauren left it, village. And all the buildings are still here. Kind of completely interesting. And this rock that looks like it has maybe some stylized Arakoa. Not sure, but they're kind of cool. Got the little pictographs on the rocks, and you even have a big old bonfire here. Never mind the bones all over the floor. We're not gonna worry about those too much. You know, details. But hey, you could totally party here. Now it is right by the entrance to Razorfen Crawl, and Razorfen Crawl was interesting. I was doing some reading on Wowipedia and did not realize that the Quillbore are actually the mortal descendants of a demigod. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And supposedly all of the thorns that the Quillbore like to live in grew up after the demigod died, tossing the Burning Legion out of the area the first time, way back in the War of the Ancients. Also, if you do a little hop jump over here, you can end up in a fully occupied Quillbore village that is right here by Razorfen Downs. So that's an interesting little thing that I also didn't know. But yeah, you've got this nice little Quillbore area, but completely peaceful and completely empty, and you have some really cool pictographs. So, you know, it's always a lot of fun. Oh, and look at that. Right up ahead of us is Mankirk. He is still getting revenge for his wife's death. I would go up and talk to him. Unfortunately, he would also just totally probably try to kill Beryl, so we're just not going to do that. Now, right up ahead is a really fun place, especially if you are an Alliance player. If you're an Alliance player, everybody in here is, well, almost everybody in here is totally peaceful to you. If you're a Horde player, they won't mark you as PvP, they would just sort of be an annoyance. But here we have Bael Modan Keep, which is a fully operational dwarven keep over here in the Southern Barrens. And I don't know, there's something that I absolutely love about these areas. It could be the RP player in me who is always looking for someplace fun to just kind of spark my imagination, and this definitely does that. I mean, you come down here, you have this beautiful roaring fire. The fortress architect is right here to sit with you. You got your barrels of ale everywhere. big old boars and deer head mounted on the wall, but it's just a really nice, cozy place. One thing I do love about dwarves, they are really, really good at building, especially building underground. Now, I did say that this place was mostly friendly to Alliance players, and I'm going to see if I can find that Horde spy. He kind of makes me laugh. He won't actually attack you if you're Alliance, but you can attack him if you wish to mark yourself as PvP. So let me see if I can find him. He's around here somewhere. This place is just way too big. But, you know, in a lot of ways, way too big is kind of a good thing. You have got all sorts of places to run around and just have fun. And this is definitely a very big place. Now, you know, few rats in the area, but details. What are a couple of rats between friends when you have all of these really cool airplanes on the walls? You've got those siege engines. Like I said, I get a real kick out of this, and hopefully I can find this goblin, because I feel like I'm already very lost. Alright, he wasn't too far away from the barracks, I don't think. You know what we should do is just see if I can find the entrance again. Hey, look at that. Treasure chest. Gotta love treasure chests. Which is also another reason to poke around in every building that you possibly can, and every mine and every cave, because you never know when you're gonna find treasure. And treasure is the name of the game in World of Warcraft. At least some of the time. Alright, last chance, see if I can find this stupid goblin. If not, just trust me, he's here. Alright, that is the door. And I think if I just go this way... Ah, there he is. See, I just had to get back to the entrance. But yeah, if you just come back here, hiding behind the bar is this little dwarf. He won't attack you. He's hiding, and we can't see him because he's got cheese on his head, so obviously he's a Green Bay Packers fan. But this is Weasel Slipshadow. I guess, like I said, he thinks that nobody can see him if he's wearing cheese on his head. Weasel, my dude, I can totally see you. Now, if you're an Alliance player and you feel like killing him, just mark yourself PvP and take him out. You know, I don't think anybody's going to cry too much if he's gone. Also, not too far away, you have the Horde and the Alliance just going at it down there at the bottom of the Bael Modan excavation. And that is where you can get dig rat corpses so that you can make dig rat stew. If you ever wanted to do that, if you are just a recipe completionist, that is something you can do. Also, Captain George Hammertoe is just hanging out back here, watching the chaos. Gotta love it. Alright, so there isn't, like, there's a lot going on in the Southern Barrens, and there's also not a lot going on in the Southern Barrens. It's a very big zone. Used to be even bigger when it was all just the Barrens, but now the Southern Barrens has become basically a war zone between the Horde and the Alliance. Also, this is a curiosity to me. I was checking this place out earlier today with both Onyx and Beryl, and I have no idea who Brine is. She doesn't seem to have any quests attached to her that I know of, but there is just this random orc up here named Brine, and yeah, she's just chilling up there. Not doing a whole heck of a lot, but kicked back and chilling. Now, like I said, The Barrens has become something of a war zone, and it is due to what the Alliance claims as a misunderstanding, regrettable, and what the Horde calls a war crime, which honestly, after poking around and looking at the evidence with my own eyes, I kind of have to side with the Horde on this one. Because right up here we have the ruins of Camp Taurajo, which was a hunting settlement of Tauren that the Alliance attacked and pretty much wiped off the map, and now
You need something?
the soldiers from Fort Victory, some of them
See
have
you
gone
around.
rogue and are just looting the camp. But if you come here, either Horde or Alliance, you will see the corpses of what were definitely civilians and not fighters. And because of this war crime, that is actually the reason that the Tauren erected the Great Gate. So again, the more you know. Over here we have Vendetta Point, which is where some more of the survivors of Camp Taurajo are. And if you come over here on a Horde player, you can even go in that tent, and there are some Tauren babies who are now the orphans of Taurajo. So, like I said, not really the Alliance's finest moment. It definitely goes to show that governments in general just suck. Alright, now we're approaching the Overgrowth, which is a very lush jungle. Unfortunately, this lush jungle will also bite back. You've got the Overgrowth elementals, and you have vines that will just pick you up and throw you around like you're a rag doll. You can kind of see about fixing it if you quest for Narlax and Mio. That's an interesting name. But considering how many times I've done these quests for them over the years, obviously it did not completely work out. But there you can see one of the Bramble Scar growths who is fighting a deviant Planestrider. Don't know who I want to win on that one. Obviously one of them though. But you can bumble around in the Overgrowth for a while. There's a lot of quests that you can do, both for the Horde and the Alliance. There's also another Tauren grave site here. And if I can find the Alliance camp again, because of course I managed to get myself lost in the Overgrowth, no matter what I do, there is one NPC that is down in the Overgrowth that just amuses me to no end that I would like to introduce you to. Alright, I actually found them. I am so proud of myself. It took me a while, but you know, some days you gotta really just look hard. Alright, so over here we have Tegan's Expedition. If you are on the Alliance side, you should definitely check it out. It definitely completely amuses me. Mostly because over here you have Old Dirty Pete. He is a dwarf who will tell you stories if you want to sit and listen to his stories. You know, he says, "This ain't the first time I've been stuck up to my teeth in a jungle that up and done ambushed me. I've been all over the world, missy, and I'll be hog-smacked if this one's gonna be the end of me." And you can say, "Tell me a story, Old Dirty Pete." His first story, he goes on with, "Back in the day, afore the day, me and me mates didn't have much in the way of drinking money, as we spent all our pay on booze, and that didn't leave none left over for casual drinking. So we decide that we are gonna commandeer one of them epic-sized kegs of old Baker Stout from the loft of Barky's Brew Pub. We chopped the supports out with our hatchets and found that old boy just up and rolled out through the side of the thatched roof like a baby bird leaving the nest, but some sort of big round beer bird, you know, that could crush a man. Well, that sounds serious, Pete. And he says, you know why they call it stout? 'Cause once it were rolling down the hill, it couldn't be bargained with, it couldn't be reasoned with, it felt no pity, no remorse, no fear. It were like a beer avalanche, which is a damn fine way to die. So the keg, it exploded as soon as it hit the orphanage at the bottom of the hill, and I dove into the mud puddle with me mouth open and, come to think of it, I don't remember how the story ends, but you want to see my tattoo? And old Dirty Pete drops his pants. And you can go on. He has 4 or 5 different stories that he can sit and tell you, so if you're ever bored and want someone to tell you some marginally inappropriate stories, you can just find old Dirty Pete and learn them all. But as fun as that was, Pete, we're going to go down into the Great Divide, mostly just to look at this beautiful lava. You've got some fire tornadoes down here. It's actually kind of cool. Probably kill you if you want to land in it, but I do enjoy the fire effects. Alright, well, that is honestly about it as far as I know for the Southern Barrens. I could be completely wrong. There could be a lot of other really cool things that I am missing out on, but as you can tell, I just don't do nearly as much questing here as I should. But we're going to go over to one last area as we follow the Great Divide down to the south. Now, next week, we're going into an area that, thankfully, Beryl has not closed off for herself, and we are going to be exploring Dustwallow Marsh, including Theramore, because, like I said, Beryl has not done the quest lines that would have Theramore be no more. So, I am actually kind of glad I haven't done those, because I would be sad if it wasn't there. Also, before we leave, this is the home of some very intelligent raptors. I'm not exactly sure what is going on with these terror-tooth raptors, but they are pretty darn smart. They're wearing feathers and have created huts. Little bit disturbing. Alright, so the last area that we're going to poke around in really quick is Northwatch Hold. Again, it is another contested area. You've got the Horde and the Alliance fighting their little brains out. But I think this has more to do with Theramore and less to do with Camp Taurajo. But yeah, that is honestly about it. The Barrens, despite the fact that I find it a fun place, I also find it kind of boring, so I have not done a lot of questing here. If you can think of anything that I missed other than the amazingly cool Bael Modan, which I will be going back to soon, let me know in the comments down below. And next week, we will be going through Dustwallow Marsh with both of our girls, because I feel like there's a little bit more on the Horde side that is interesting in Dustwallow Marsh. So, as always, thank you so much. Oops, zoomed in a little bit too much. Say goodbye, Beryl. She says, see you later, and so will I. Have an awesome week.